This first report originates from YouTube channel KIKE-TV2. This is Enceladus, moon of Saturn. The images are from Cassini orbiter, currently on orbit around Saturn and its moons. Cyclops.org, it's the site that processed the images. The Reptilians use electromagnetic energy to maintain hidden from view. Only with electro-optical devices and other types of detectors we can perceive them. Dr. Berrigan explains perfectly how they are able to create and maintain solar systems, including manufacture stars like this sun. This is hard to digest reality because we have been groomed to think small and obsolete concepts, along with tainted or altered knowledge. That's what that video about ancient knowledge is about. None of these things are new, but to us, the majority of slaves of the elite, I encourage you to watch and read as much as you can and pass the knowledge to your kids from early on. That will give them a head start, possibly saving their lives too. And their kids, your grandkids. These criminals have mass murder in their minds. They are using chemicals in food, weather, electromagnetic waves to degrade the next generation and keep them from reading quality material. Television is poison big time, music, video games, it's all part of their arsenal. Vaccines, medications, they are busy undermining us with crap. This report originates from thurban.spruce.com and was posted on February 23, 2011 by Ashin and titled The Secret of the Extraterrestrial Life. What are the ETs? Why do we not already have a mass contact scenario? With all the billions and billions of planets, stars and galaxies, by logic alone, we can come to the conclusion that we cannot possibly be alone and the sole sentience of the universe. The universe is billions of years old and surely by now has produced a sentient life form. Logically and by similar conclusions, many more than just one, that can indeed travel the stars with the technology to manipulate time and space in order to traverse long distances across its vastness. But where are they? What do we have as evidence for their existence? Of all the UFO evidence we have gathered on this planet at this time, the story is a pretty compelling one. From numerous sightings, videos and abduction reports, channelers, visionaries, contactees, myths and religions, as well as the secret black op programs, we can logically deduce we are not alone and have never been alone. The evidence is full and rife with testimony and validity that we are being visited. These ET intelligences are visiting us and have been doing so for many thousands if not millions of years. But if they are in fact as numerous as the evidence supports, why do we not have a massive contact scenario already? Why, despite the huge logs of information and evidence of their existence, have they not manifested and introduced themselves to the masses? Why do they appear so elusive and mysterious? The answer is simple in defining what they are and where they come from, and what Earth is and its role in all of this. To manifest physically or not manifest? This is the question. The ETs are crystalline light data, like light-encoded DNA. They exist higher dimensionally as crystalline light codes, and have evolved right along with the whole of creation and Earth itself. The difference between them and us is one of density, plain and simple, and it is the reason that when they do appear, most often we see them as plasma light. That seems to have the ability to phase shift in and out of visible range, sometimes appearing more solid and other times transparent and disappearing altogether. When we see them appear in our atmosphere, they are in a state of flux, and what we see is actually a light shadow projected onto our 3D space. This report originates from Examiner.com, titled Countdown Signs for Planet X, Blood Red Skies and Waters and Green Meteors by Barbara Snyder. As Planet X, also known as Nibiru, moves through our solar system, its powerful gravitational pull gathers a vast entourage, an immense wafting charged tail composed of fine iron-oxide red dust and other space stragglers, such as gases, stones, boulders and moons, zetatalk.com. Travelling through outer space, the tail meets with almost no resistance until it enters the solar system, where the solar wind pushes the massive tail outwards away from the Sun and towards Earth. How is Earth affected by Planet X's tail? Everything in the massive tail sweeps Earth's atmosphere, with the exception of its moons. Sure signs of the presence of Planet X are appearances of a fine red dust that turns ponds, rivers and other bodies of water blood red. The iron ore content in the red dust gives water a brackish taste. Red dust settling on objects or blowing about, and red dust in the clouds at all times of day from horizon to horizon. Astonishingly brilliant blood-red sunsets, red skies even at night, red halos around the moon, red clouds and red auroras. Harbingers in the sky that, unlike shooting stars, are green, not white, when they burn up in the atmosphere. Sun appearing larger than usual at sunset and sunrise. Moon appearing larger and closer or smaller and very far away, far from the norm. How will these things be explained? It will be difficult to explain these signs away, and the most likely response will be silence. Oops, cracks appearing in the cover-up. Planet X catastrophe that is changing Earth. No need to worry, say world leaders. This following report originates from zetatalk.com. The Zetatalk newsletter, issue 353, Sunday, July the 7th, 2013, titled Sun, North and Bright. Way too far north, way too high in the dome, and way too bright. This has been observed and documented recently from America and Europe. As documented in this post-shifting blog, this implies a lean into opposition, where the North Pole of Earth is pointing consistently more towards the Sun and Planet X. Leaning into opposition places Earth in a comfortable position along the magnetic flow lines of Planet X, aka Nibiru. Zetatalk explanation, 8th of June 2011. As Planet X moves closer, still enveloping Earth in its magnetosphere, a type of flipping about also began, where the Earth would tilt its north pole away or flip in the other direction, into opposition along the magnetic flow lines of Planet X. The Earth will attempt to placate the dominant magnetic field of Planet X by lying in opposition, actually pointing its north pole towards the Sun. Late afternoon on June 9, 2013, at 4:30 p.m, the Sun was virtually overhead in Blackpool, UK, as determined by the shadows. The Sun should have been casting long shadows at that time, about 1/3 way up in the dome, altitude 30, closer to the horizon than the top of the dome per sky map. yet from the angle it appeared to be twice that, 2/3 of the way up in the dome. In Wisconsin, Nancy, had a chance to take a couple of readings when the sun was quite visible. In both cases the measure was 20 or more, too far to the north. The sun was also rising early and too high in the dome, by about that same measure 20. June the 9th, the sun at 16:30 hours in Blackpool, northwest UK. Note the shadows under the cars on the road, sun virtually overhead. And from another, June 11th, I just took a measure here in Wisconsin at 6:55 AM DST. By my measure, the sun was at azimuth 53 in the northeast and altitude 40 per sky map. It should have been azimuth 73 and altitude 17. This is fully 20D too far to the north and fully 20D too high in the dome. I have had these readings pretty consistently during sunny days, which are few and far between in our lingering cold spring here. And from another, June the 17th, sun way too far north. Sky map says it should be in azimuth 68, but it is in at azimuth 43, a full 25D too far north. Another phenomena is also apparent, a sunrise occurring 4 hours before the sun is scheduled to rise, with the sunrise seeming to last for hours. This is the second sun, sunlight bouncing off the vast dust cloud of planet X, so it appears two suns are rising, one after the other. A webcam captured in Sweden on June the 15th, 2013 shows the sun rising hours too early. The second sun was captured on the webcam at 00:55 AM. Per dawn light is traditionally evident only the hour or at most 2 hours before sunrise. This final report originates from Examiner.com and also includes info from ZetaTalk.com, titled "What's Up with China's Massive Mysterious Ghost Cities?" China has been casting about for building locations around the world. For example, in Greenland, some amazing satellite images show some of China's ghost cities. Why were these cities built for people who have never moved in? If these ghost cities are meant to be homes for millions, why then are they lying deserted in locations around the world, including the middle of Angola, Africa? View slideshow, China's mysterious ghost cities. The United Kingdom's Daily Mail published an article about China's ghost cities, which have been built inland, often in desolate and unpopulated areas. If all these constructions was for strictly business reasons, wouldn't the beautiful coastline of Angola make for a more better location than some remote area? State-owned China International Trusted Investment Corporation, CITIC, built a town in Angola called Nova Ciudad de Calambo, according to the BBC's Louise Redvers. It is a residential development of 750 8-story apartment buildings, a dozen schools, and more than 100 retail units. Could the Chinese establishment be building safe havens in what they consider to be safe locations after the pole shifts? Perhaps China knows something of what the future holds and apparently is not worried about repercussions from those in charge of the Planet X cover-up. Even though the rationale for these cities has not been explained by China, Google images show not merely housing complexes but cities. Satellite images show sprawling cities with eerie empty roads in remote parts of China, elaborate public buildings and open spaces unused with the exception of a few government vehicles near authority offices. Some estimates put the number of empty homes at as many as 64 million. Zeta Talk has warned of a 20-foot drop in sea level elevation from Hangzhou south along the coastline to Vietnam. It is interesting to note that none of the ghost cities are located in the South China area, where the coastline will drop as part of the sinking of the plate tongue holding Indonesia. Zeta Talk, Hangzhou is on the line of breakage as the tongue of the Eurasian plate is pulled down and under the Indo-Australian plate. This is the line so active in sinkholes lately from the point where the Himalayas are pushing into China across to the coast as far south as Guangxi and Guangdong provinces, which are likewise along the coastlines in the region being drawn down as the tongue of the Eurasian plates is being bent. The ghost city locations also avoid the sinkhole belt, which stretches from the Himalayas east to the coast and per the Zetas represents the swathe of land which is bending as the plate tongue holding Indonesia is pulled down. The ghost cities are also being built inland, away from what will be flooded coastlines after the pole shifts, and in provinces far from India, which will be the new South Pole. So what is the purpose of these ghost cities that are built inland and not in the coastal areas? Does China plan to relocate its citizens from coastlines as well as from southern and western provinces near India? It would appear that China takes the predictions of a pole shift seriously. Draw your own conclusions. This first report originates from YouTube channel KIKE TV2. This is Enceladus, moon of Saturn. The images are from Cassini orbiter, currently on orbit around Saturn and its moons. Cyclops.org, it's the site that processed the images. The Reptilians use electromagnetic energy to maintain hidden from view. Only with electro-optical devices and other types of detectors we can perceive them. Dr. Berrigan explains perfectly how they are able to create and maintain solar systems, including manufacture stars like this sun. This is hard to digest reality because we have been groomed to think small and obsolete concepts, along with tainted or altered knowledge. That's what that video about ancient knowledge is about. None of these things are new, but to us, the majority of slaves of the elite, I encourage you to watch and read as much as you can and pass the knowledge to your kids from early on. That will give them a head start, possibly saving their lives too. And their kids, your grandkids. These criminals have mass murder in their minds. They are using chemicals in food, weather, electromagnetic waves to degrade the next generation and keep them from reading quality material. Television is poisoned big time, music, video games, it's all part of their arsenal. Vaccines,